Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm running a little bit late today because I got to watching Laputa, Castle in the Sky, and it's a wonderful movie. It's from the Studio Ghibli. It's the Japanese anime series that do Totoro and some of these other stories. Fantastic stuff, just absolutely awesome. I'm in a much better mood, much lighter today because I have decided that instead of talking about a dream, I'm going to tell you about something that happened yesterday that was absolutely phenomenal. It was actually marked a sense of closure for me in certain aspects of my life that just have been that have been for maybe 30 years out of whack since I was in my early 20s and doing studies and stuff. And so this was really very impactful. And I'm going to go ahead and pull a card on today's meditation. I'm not even calling it a dream because it's not really a dream. It's a actual, sometimes dreams and reality kind of come together. And there's like this sense of sometimes you realize that, and I've had dreams about singing and about choir and about music for a very long time now. And the fact that this kind of coincides together is really kind of amazing, and it's kind of neat at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and pull a card. Oops, once I get these shuffled here, pull a card here. There we go. And I'm going to do it this way. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about something. When I was in university, I studied Russian and political science. And although I really enjoyed learning Russian and going to Moscow and doing all the stuff that goes along with that, I felt incomplete. And the incompleteness was the fact that I didn't study music because music has always been my passion and it's always been something I absolutely loved. But when I was in my early 20s, my mother comes to me and says, "If you study music, I won't help you anymore." Well, she didn't help me anyway, but that's beside the point. And so I gave it up. I just said, okay, I won't study music. I'll just stick with what I had already started. So I really wanted to study music, and I was told, basically conditions. Not really nice, not really fair, but it was what it was. So I always wanted to study music. I always wanted to learn music. And yesterday and today's meditation kind of gave me closure to all of that and to the fact that I regretted not having studied music because it was my passion and it was what I really loved. So I'm going to give these another shuffle, and then I'm going to pull a card. This is the Gilded Tarot from Ciro Marchetti. Whoops! Card down, card down. And the card that fell was the Empress. And I have a feeling that this is the card I'm supposed to pull. So I'm going to pull this aside. And I'm just going to take these cards and I'm going to put them to one side. And I'm going to read you the meditation. Because I think that this will encapsulate what I'm about to tell you. Day number 20 is May 27th, 2025. And I called it Dreams versus Reality. I said, I want to go in a different direction today, if I may. And Metatron says, that's perfectly fine. I said, so yesterday's dream was pretty awful, but it did remind me of something rather significant. And Metatron says, and what was that? I said that sometimes reality can be better than dreams. And Metatron says, tell me what happened. I said, yesterday evening I attended choir rehearsal. I hadn't felt this positive about this choir in such a long time. The rehearsal had become rather drudging up a hill. There felt an energy before that felt stale to me. It's nothing against the director who had done this job before the new director came in. It was by no means his responsibility or his fault, if you will. He was a great director. But I got the impression, specifically during the last year, that he was experiencing some form of burnout, and he did not seem happy at all. Was this the energy that I was picking up on? And Metatron says, yes, you were. When people are dissatisfied with the way things are, They are somehow able to bring others along with them. You sense it. Even if you cannot feel the words to describe it, you know that the energy of the person is not with what they are doing. How do you feel when you have to do something that you don't really want to do? And I said, I feel sluggish, tired. I tend to look for an excuse to not have to do it. Last year, I opted out of the concert because I just didn't feel like doing it. I had been contending with illness, and I knew that, to be fair to the group, opting out was probably the best option for me to take. It was not something I was sad about doing, but I think in hindsight I probably should have done it. I did, or at least get to sing for the last performance over Christmas. And Metatron says, you mentioned last year's experience. How do you feel now? I said, I feel absolutely recharged. The choir is still the same group, but rehearsals are bigger and more people show up. The new director has such an amazing energy. He smiles, and it's as though he absolutely loves what he is doing. He encourages us to dig deeper into ourselves and push ourselves to be better. In 4 or 5 rehearsals, I found that I have improved because I use the ideas he gives, not just on this choir, but in the other choir I sing in as well. My whole idea about it has changed. I've grown up, and I feel like I don't have to prove that I can sing. I just sing for the joy of singing. Metatron says, it marks a difference in you. I said, when you do something you love, it suddenly opens your eyes to the glory of things. I know this sounds a bit weird, but the whole meaning of singing in a choir is not to be a diva or to show off. It just means more. I feel like in the last 10 to 15 years, I've grown up a lot with regards to singing. I don't feel like I have to prove anything. I can just sing and do so because I love music. And Metatron says, you've discovered a real secret behind musical inspiration. You can do this because you love it. The music becomes a tool of praise, not a praise in religious sense, but rather in a praise of your own development. Let me see if I can explain it as it seems a bit difficult. In human religious practices, you sing praises to God, Jesus, and the spirit of what encompasses or by those basis of beliefs. This becomes an expression of love for something that is considered to be beyond you, something that people believe exists outside of yourself. The act of singing is also a love for self. In preserving this optimism and joy, that encompasses the person doing the singing. Each time you sing, you allow yourself to express who you are as an artist and as an individual. The act of singing is an expression of the individual worth that one has for themselves. When you sing, the problems and concerns leave your mind. You focus on the lyrics, the emotion, and the ideas that draw into this act of singing. When you sang that song last night, you allowed all of the things that had locked your mind about singing to burst forth. What you heard last night when you sang was the release of not only the sadness or heartbreak, but the bubble of all of the lack or insecurity that you felt before, because it was now gone and you were able to sing from your heart. I said I could barely recognize my own voice. In music, the music came from me, but it felt different. It felt joyous. Like all of the times when I had tried to prove myself as a singer. What happened? How did I get to that point? And Metatron says, you were ready, and you said you wanted to try. You released all of the inhibition about singing, and you sang. That is an imitation. That is not as an imitation of another person, but as yourself. I said I almost started crying when he acknowledged me. It felt like I had been waiting 20 years to hear those words, and it meant more to me than I can even express with words. He said that I had a nice voice. I never even dared to believe that someone would say that. Even if I'm not able to sing a solo, it won't matter to me because I got those words spoken to me last night. Metatron says you discovered in a very special way that when you try and push yourself onto others, that it doesn't work. You are able to sense the significance of your abilities and talents. When you let it flow, the magic happens. That happened yesterday. You were able to shine. It was not about proving yourself. It was about showing that you are able to listen to suggestions of other people, allow their guidance to move you, and focus that energy on creating a feeling that is special. The act of making music is special, Yvette. It is not about ego. When you completely and freely release the ego, then you find that dreams can come true. You manifested that last week when you said that you didn't know if you could hit a G. But this remained an idea of you stepping up and embracing the fact that you have a gift, and that gift is music. You don't have to be a musical scholar. Many singers are not students of music. They just found a way to tap into themselves and sing without fear or trepidation. Sometimes that is all that must be done. I said, I only hope that the other girl did not wish to compare her voice to mine. I got the energy that when he complimented me, she felt attacked. I would not want that to happen. I did not want to compare myself to anyone, and I hope that no one will wait to want to compare themselves to me. Everyone has a unique voice, and I don't feel insulted or affronted by the words. And Metatron says, they make you feel a little bit sad, though. I said, I don't know how I felt. I've always admired her voice. She's a very talented singer. And he said, well, then you should tell her that the next time you see her. I said, I will do that. Thank you. And that's where we ended. So back to this card. I'm going to pull the book because I'm not sure I remember what the Empress signifies. Let's see. The Empress. Here we go. The Empress. The first and overriding impression from the Empress card is the care in which she holds the female symbol of Venus in her hands and the loving expression on her face towards it. The Empress is representation of the female archetype in the tarot, the desirable female form, but also the loving, nurturing mother. She is encircled by the signs of the zodiac, which together with the symbol of the female shows her ability to manifest life through the birthing process. The colors of all four elements are represented here. Her red hair and flowing belt show the passion of fire, warmth, and nurturing. Her gold dress symbolizes the love and emotion of water, yet she is cloaked in green, representation of the earth element, the physical aspect of our being. She is shown against a backdrop of the sky symbolizing the air element. The combination of earthly and heavenly symbols represent the imagination of spiritual and earthly matters, releasing the full potential of the two, therefore creating the third energy. The Empress represents growth, prosperity, and fertility. She brings happy conclusions to matters and promises good rewards for work and efforts. The Empress brings situations to fruition. It's the most perfect card for today. Most perfect card for what I experienced yesterday. Just to recap what happened. I'm not sure what happened, or if I explained it in the meditation, but yesterday evening I went to choir rehearsal, and I had spoken the week before. The new director was looking for people who might be interested in singing solos, and I just said, well, maybe, if you need somebody and nobody else is volunteering, I'd volunteer, because I have no problem singing in front of people. It's not an issue with me. But basically what happened was somebody said, oh, well, this other person can sing really good. And he said, oh, okay. And so the other person was basically picked. And it was like, okay, that's fine. And I had no problem with it. I just kind of just went about my way and went home. And last night we had our next rehearsal, and after the rehearsal, I went over to him and I just said, I was really thankful to him for the tips that he's been giving regarding singing and stuff, because I've been using it in another choir that I'm in. And I said that it just really means a lot to me that I'd be able to learn something and to utilize these lessons that I've learned. And he said, you said last week you were interested in solo singing. Would you like to sing for me? And I said, okay. And so I did. And when I started singing, the first thing I recognized was my voice was totally different than what I had anticipated. And it was like I was a different person, that I wasn't the same, and that I couldn't recognize the singing, even though I knew that it was coming from me. And I just kept singing, and by the time I had finished, I felt positively elated. And he then turned to me and he said, "You have a very good voice." And that was the first time anybody had ever said that to me, I think in over 20, maybe 30 years. Um, I've been in choirs for a very long time. I've sung in choirs and with groups, but nobody had ever, I never really did anything that stood out per se. I did a couple of solos about 15 years ago, but that was it. And here I am, at this point of growth and experiencing this, and I'm thinking, wow, this is so amazing. And so, yeah, I'm going to be singing a solo for a choir, and this will be the first solo that I've done in like 15 years, and I feel absolutely elated by it. I think it's wonderful, and I have to say that while I was reading the meditation, I felt the emotional lump in my throat. But as I was writing it, I was openly crying because it was like such a release and it felt so good. And it's always amazing that just after I have a really bad dream or the meditation is very, very sad and has a sort of negative feel to it, something comes up and I end up having this absolutely miraculous experience that kind of changes everything and it just turns things around. So that's what happened. So I got the Empress card. I'm going to pull one more, or a couple more maybe. The Seven of Wands. I pulled that one yesterday. And this is the guy who's kind of defending himself, defending his honor, if you will. I don't know if there's really anything for me to defend. I think that but it is standing firm and having confidence in what I'm doing. And I think that that's what the card represents for me. The next one is the Page of Pentacles. And it's a new beginning. It's a new beginning, a prosperous new beginning. And it's not prosperity in the terms of money, but it's a prosperity in terms of spiritual growth and in spiritual understanding. And I think that's what's significant about it. Here's the Knight of Wands again. And again, very confident and very straightforward person. And finally, the Two of Pentacles, the balancing between ego and spirituality, and being able to do this without letting the ego come in and tell you you can't. So that's what I got. So I'm very, very happy today. I'm feeling very, very optimistic and very light. And tomorrow I'm going to do the last dream. Well, not the last dream, but I'm going to do a dream for tomorrow that's going to kind of, I think, wrap up for this group of meditations. I'll take 3 days off, and then on Sunday I'll be back to start a new round. But I'm not sure what I'm going to call it. I'll have to see. But we'll see what happens. Thanks a lot for watching. Thank you for being here. And thank you for bearing with me while I go through my little emotional thing. But it's really important. I think that it's important for everybody to understand that you have talents and that you have to utilize those talents and allow yourself to express those talents and those abilities that you have. It may be music, it may be crafts, it may be anything else. It may be sports. Whatever it is that you do, whatever it is that you feel passionate about, do it with your whole heart and don't let your ego get in your way. Just do it and enjoy it. And with that, I say thank you very much. Have a great day. And as always, namaste.